afternoon, morning, middle of the night, whatever time it is another episode of the Wookie Automotive Racing Ramblin' Podcast. Cue that M. Bison quote. Chase Elliott finally won. God dang. The years of memes have finally gotten silenced for now. He finally broke through and got that win. Overall, Watkins Glen has always been just a fantastic event, and always seemed to produce a little more exciting racing than Sonoma, and this year's no exception. Honestly, you can forget all about Sonoma. This was the road course racing that people want more road course racing for. This was a really good race. All three events this weekend. The Can-Am race, I didn't see any of it, but apparently those who were there watched it said it was really good. Possibly the best race of the weekend. Like I said, I was pushing the car through qualifying tech, so I couldn't comment on it myself. We'll just have to wait and see for the NBC broadcast at Wednesday or Thursday, whenever the hell they decide to play it. Xfinity race. Once again, pretty decent race. Despite the predictable winner of Joey Logano. Every year you can put money on that one of those two Penske cars is going to win this race. And once again, it was Logano. But that was a really exciting race. We had about a good third of it was a rain race. Which, of course, every time we got rain in one of these road courses, fantastic. And then, of course, the Cup race was pretty good. It was relatively clean. There wasn't any major incidences, it seemed. Just a little bit of one-car incidences here and there. But overall, it was a pretty good race. But yeah. Can't sing the praises of Watkins Glen high enough. Of course, Chase Elliott won. We already got this being called the greatest Watkins Glen. No. Oh, reel your horses in. Put the brakes on. We aren't gonna. 2006 Busch race here. One of the Kyle Petty wins there. I think it was 93 or 94, and then, of course, 2011, Marcus Ambrose winning. That, as I tap the table, that by far is going to be a long time. Even last year's with Harvick running out of fuel on the last lap, I'd put above this one a little bit. But it's a popular one. It's like Junior Nation has migrated over to Chase, and they're probably even more rabid. They calmed down. Junior Nation kind of calmed down a little bit over the years with Junior. Kind of accepted the fact that a lot of his early career spark was gone. I think a lot of that had to do with his multiple concussions and his the late 2000s when he went over to Hendrick. That he really hit a slump there for a while. But Junior Nation kind of calmed down there and kind of, well, he's not the best. Well, but he's Junior. But it seems that now that Junior Nation has moved over to Chase, let me pause this real quick. My laptop's about to die. And we are back. Sorry about that. Lack of prep on my part. Didn't realize just how dead my battery was. But anyways, but yeah, the the Chase Nation's definitely been probably a lot more rabid waiting for him to get that win. he finally did it. Not without some controversy. He did hit a pit crew member last pit stop and launched his pit gun outside the box. I believe Denny of course, I can't find I could have swore Denny Hamlin on the same set of stops. He hit his crew and sent everything flying, and he got a penalty, but Chase didn't. We'll just have to wait and see the end, but very popular win. It's probably got to be rated probably the best race of the year. The big three didn't win for once. Just really, really good race overall. I can't really. The talking points are kind of, other than the fact that Chase won, there's a little bit of a controversy with his how he won. But hey, the fans finally got their wish. A young gun that they wanted to won. So hey, Watkins Glen has always been. It's a fast track, but it seems that it always promotes close racing. Turn 1, the bus stop chicane, the carousel, and 6 and 7. It just the way those sections of the track, it's very easy to make mistakes, and it's very easy to gain ground there. And it always, yeah, it always seems to put on a good show at the end of these races, and this year was no exception. Let's finish. Let's look through the race itself. Got off to a little argy-bargy start. On like the first lap, second lap. Really intense race in the first lap and a half, but Joey coming through the carousel. Denny Hamlin got a little bit loose, kind of held up the pack, and then they all kind of Constantinaed into each other. And Joey Logano ended up with a busted oil cooler, went off into 6, saved it, got into his pit stall. They pushed it behind the wall, and then of course they were told, "Well, you're on the 5-minute clock because of crash damage. You went behind the wall. You're done." I don't know if I'd agree with that call or not. But yeah, the rules are rules. I would say I've seen guys go behind the wall with similar damage, from just scraping the wall or something like that, from like a blown tire or something like that, and they consider that mechanical. So, yeah, I didn't like the call. If someone can cut a tire right side the car, go behind the wall, and the caution doesn't come out, and then they can repair that and go back out, I feel Logano should have been able to work on his car a little bit, put an oil cooler in it. But hey, it's a judgment call, and it's a call it's not as black and white. It's as many people like to say it is. There's definitely been some moments I feel that the 5-minute clock has been abused, but hey, I'm not the one in charge. I'm not the one making the calls. I'm just a guy in the back of the garage ranting and raving on the internet. So it is what it is. And then right after that, Eric Almirola got tagged coming out of turn 7, and backed it into the safer barrier. Yeah, kind of didn't need a run like that. He probably had a better finish than what he did. He ended up finishing 22nd, came back at the end, but and they probably didn't need to throw the caution. But I think with the whole Logano going off, and there probably was some oil on the track. Definitely saw that in the replay with I can't think of who was behind him, but anyways, that was like one of the only two incidences that brought out the caution, other than stages. The other one was that Matt Benedetto had a failure and stopped on the bus stop, and that brought out the caution with about about 27 laps to go, right inside the pit window. So, unfortunately, kept the fuel, and it ended up being just perfect for that fuel window because, as we saw, Martin Truex Jr. going into 6th, running out of fuel, and then Chase running out of fuel on the cool down lap. But anyways, also I see old Jimmy Johnson being that stepping up to being the team the team captain there and pushing Chase over to the front stretch with his car. That was kind of a cool moment. And also, we'll also see Awesome Bill get all the TV time he did. Which, speaking of which, Awesome Bill's coming out of retirement to go run Road America for GMS, which took everyone by surprise. But I guess he's been running a lot of vintage cars lately, running a lot of road courses, and yeah, I guess he never really officially retired. He got sick around 2010ish and just kind of stopped running. So it's gonna be nice to see him step in back in a National Series event, just to go have some fun. And I'm sure Road America is probably a lot of people consider like one of the best road courses in the country. So I'm kind of sure that he's been there plenty of times with Chase, and so I'm probably sure he's probably, hey, that's a bucket list track I want to go race at. So, anyways, and then in the final 15 laps, a lot of little single cars going off, ended up in the dirt. Nobody, Jimmy got damaged, got tagged by AJ Allmendinger, right side, or backed it into the turn 7 wall. Kind of missed when there was tires there, but it was probably the right thing. They ended up putting a safer barrier there. You remember, there's some vicious crashes there when there was tires, specifically the 2008 race there. Oh, man. Michael McDowell and David Reagan, I think it was Reagan he got into. But yeah, absolutely vicious crash. And clogged the whole track, and I think Denny ended up getting into the sand barrels, and Bobby Labonte ended up airborne, didn't flip there, but that was probably 7 or 8 cars got destroyed on that one corner. But anyways, excellent race altogether. Go through the rundown real quick. Chase actually dominated. He led 52 laps, so good to see him, especially in the Chevys, which were struggled with the new Camaro this year. They finally break through and get that win. I wouldn't put money on a Chevy winning that at Michigan next week. I think the Fords were just too strong there, just because of the shape of the Ford nose. But I'd put money on Chase and Kyle Larson. I'd put money on one of those two, probably competing for a win at Bristol. But Bristol is mostly a survival race, and you can never really pick and choose who's going to. Ryan Blaney was in the lead and had by far the fastest car this year, and down cars caused a wreck, and he had nowhere to go and got taken out. So that's just the nature of the beast at Bristol. But yeah, I think the Forza could be too strong next week. Martin Truex Jr., despite running out of gas, finished second. He probably had a third-place car all day long until Kyle Busch's problems up pit road. And Kyle Busch came back to finish third. He had one of the top 2 fastest cars all day. He had, if he hadn't had fuel issues on that last pit stop, that probably would have been an even crazier finish than what we had. But if you didn't see it, basically he came in leading, and then they went to put fuel in the car, and the fuel head wouldn't engage, couldn't get fuel through. So they had to come back in and refuel it, and he had to basically start at the back of the pack and make his way back up. Came back to finish third, so good run for him. But if he hadn't had those fuel issues, he probably would have won. But some days it's your day, and some days it isn't, and it wasn't Kyle Busch's day today. Anyways, Daniel Suarez, another top 5, finished 4th. I wouldn't say he'd get a win this year. But I definitely say I won't put it past him probably stealing the fuel mileage race or something like that later in the year. I guess it is all but confirmed. He is going to be back in that car next year. Eric Jones finished fifth. A real good run for him. Was kind of surprised by his performance today. Wouldn't really think of Watkins Glen being a track that he'd be real good at, but he kind of proved everybody wrong. Ran top 5 all day. But I guess he had Chris Cook driver coaching him, and he ran the K&N race. So good to see him kind of starting to come into his own as a driver. I think he'll be a force to be reckoned with in the next year or two in this sport. Carl Larson finally had a decent run. He's been really feast or famine this year, but finished 6th. Still looking for that first win of the year. I think it'll probably come at Bristol. That's just me. Jamie McMurray, who's had an absolutely miserable year this year. He had kind of a strong start, and then it's just, I guess they had a stat he hadn't had top 15 in like 10 or 12 races. And yeah, I don't see him staying at that one car for another year or two. I think I think what's going to happen is that, depending on how well John Hunter develops in the 42 in the Xfinity car, I see him eventually replacing McMurray, because Ganassi doesn't really have any other development drivers at the moment in the docket. So yeah, it would be nice to see John Hunter in that ride, and then I wouldn't mind seeing Ganassi returning to a traditional Ganassi number, using the number 40, or mostly the number 40. The 41's in use right now, but it just because right now the kind of one is kind of last vestiges of the DEI that when they merged with Ganassi. But anyways, Jamie Mack finished 7th. Really needed a good run. He's been absolutely miserable this year. And anyways, William Byron slowly starting to come into his own. Finished 7th. Kurt Busch came back from a 36th place starting place because of inspection issues this morning, because of they've been posting the cars after inspection, and he failed and came back to finish 9th. Had a real good run. Kevin Harvick really never had a really strong top 5 car. He was definitely the weakest of the big 3, but he finished 10th. But I see him bouncing back next week in Michigan. The Fords were just too strong here in June for me to write them off, and especially with Stuart Haas being the best Ford team at the moment. Denny Hamlin came back from his pit issues, finished 13th. Alex Bowman quietly finished 14th. Allmendinger wasn't really a factor all day, like everyone thought he was. Got caught up in that kind of Constantina in the second lap. Finished 15th. And the rest of it, let's see who else got a good finish. Michael McDowell with another solid finish, finished 18th. Chris Buescher, 20th. See who else? Parker Kligerman came back for his 3rd start of the year. Finished 24th. With Gaunt Brothers, Jeffrey Earnhardt's going to run that car for the rest of the year pretty much, except for, I believe, Talladega. I believe DJ Kennington's going to come back. Run back down. And really, there was no ringers. The only 2 ringers we had was the other one was Josh Palicki and the Rick Ware injury, and he had a really rough weekend. The JP entry he was in, they really struggled with mechanical issues yesterday. But anyways, he ended up finishing 36th due to motor issues. And then I think who else we got? And then it has begun. Spencer Gallagher made his debut for BK. The wheels are in motion. Worst kept secret. GMS, I believe, and everyone believes, is going to take over BK Racing. I believe they're going to win. They, by far, out of all the groups that have put in a bid for BK, they, by far, I believe, are going to be the ones to end up with that entry. And if it does, you'll see Spencer run for Rookie of the Year next year. basically. And then that's really all I got for Watkins Glen. Move on to the Xfinity Series. Man, go through my week. Yeah, it was a lot of early mornings and late nights just to get there. Had to put back together the Toyota we ran last year. That Enrique Baca and Ernie Francis Jr. ran. Chad ran Chad's first real road course experience outside of Legends cars, and his first experience in the rain. And he was really out of his element, but he quietly kept the car in one piece. Had some mechanical issues at the start, but still finished the race. All four corners are on it. We'll turn around, take that car over to Mid-Ohio. And basically, he's out of his element, so we're just keeping it together for him, and he's just there to learn. And he's a real good student, so. And then, of course, we ended up not running the car we wanted to run for Timmy Hill. The car that ended up running as the 66 was supposed to be the 13. Carl was supposed to run it. But the 589, the Red Hood Dodge, the car made famous by Lawn Day at Mid-Ohio a couple years ago, we were just really far behind on getting that one prepared. So it will be back at Mid-Ohio. But anyways, yeah, and Timmy ran 203, the flat black Dodge. Did all right in that car. Had pretty decent qualifying run in it. It just personally, the car is not as good as 589, the Red Hood car. It's an older car. It's in a lot rougher shape. It's just it was a backup last year for a reason. But anyways, Timmy did what he could with that, and make sure my thing didn't come unplugged there. Let me double check. No, I'm still good. Sorry, I'm a little technical issues today. But anyways, yeah, all late nights getting there. Next week at Mid-Ohio, we'll have Tim Cowan back in the Ford. Big race for him. He's local. He's from the Mansfield area. Cowan logistics on the car. And then I believe we'll run the 13 car. And then Chad, of course, back in his seat. But anyways, this was probably the craziest race because of the rain. Right off the bat, we had a caution lap 5. Tommy Joe Martins had a brake failure and went off into 6, crashed really hard, killed that car. They were real disappointed that Tommy probably had a really good. He probably would have finished in high. He probably would have finished top 25 again, but yeah, that's not what that team needed. Real disappointed on his part, and then right on the restart after the stage end, Matt Tift and Justin Haley got together, kind of got in a hard crash into the S's, and then the rain hit, and man, that was a crazy set of circumstances. Basically, it's rain racing in the Xfinity Series. It always puts on a show. I believe this is only probably the 4th time it's happened in the Xfinity Series. Off the top of my head, Montreal 2008. That was a very famous race. Ron Fellows ended up winning. And then Mid-Ohio 2014, or not Mid-Ohio, Road America 2014. Brendan Gaughan ended up winning. Kevin O'Connell and Rick Ware car finishing 3rd. And then the Mid-Ohio race from 2 years ago, that it's still probably my favorite race of all time that I've done. A little bit of personal bias with the run we had with DeLon, but it was just a lot of fun. And I thought we had a lot of fun in the rain this weekend. Of course, Chad was way outside of his element, but he kept the car clean, and he did what we asked him to do. And then we didn't get as much rain racing as we intended. We ended up having a long red flag after Vinnie Miller kind of dirt. He was running by himself. He wasn't with the pack, and then he overcooked. We were over stall 4, and we had front row seat. He was completely overcooked into one. Like, he was in there deeper than he was in the dry. And panic brake, locked up the front brakes, wheel hopped the rear, and just went straight into the barriers. A hard crash, kind of reminiscent of Denny Hamlin had a real hard crash there. Ryan Truex, I believe, was the BK car that had a real bad crash there a couple of years ago. But anyways, he was all right. It's disappointing to see another tore up Johnny Davis car. And then it was clean and green for the last couple laps to the end of the stage. And then the tracker dried off and I went back to dries. Then it was the Penske cars, long gone. We did have a couple late cautions for cars stopping. Josh Bilicki, like I mentioned earlier, I guess he had fuel pickup issues. The car stopped over the runoff turn one. And then Scott Heckert in the other BJ McLeod car, he had a failure in the bus stop. So, but anyways, but yeah, then it turned into a real fun race to watch between Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. Brad probably had the better car trying to get around Joey. Then he kind of wheel hopped it going into one and spun the car out. Still finished the race. He finished 10th though, way down in the order. But that point, Joey had no real competitors, and then he ended up winning in dominating fashion. AJ Allmendinger finished second. He had a real good car too, but he wasn't as good as the Penske duo, and he had to come back. He had a pit road penalty. He pitted outside the box, so he had to stop and go. And then Justin Allgaier quietly with third place finish. Yeah, he had a real good race. Really kind of made a statement that he's out there trying to compete for this championship. Unfortunately, he's like a full race behind Ryan Preece in points right now, but it's not gonna mean anything until once the chase starts. So, anyways, Ryan Preece, he had a fantastic race. His first race since New Hampshire. He's run a lot less races than everyone thought he was gonna. Initially thought, because mostly Noah Gragson brought some money during the Dash for Cash races and stuff like that. But anyways, he finished fourth. Eric Almirola in the Biaggi Haas car finishes at fifth. Cole Custer in the other Haas Biaggi car finished sixth. Brandon Jones came back from a spin early in the race, finished seventh. Ryan Reed quietly finished eighth. Pretty decent run for him. You wouldn't think on a road course he would be that competitive, but quietly eighth place finish. Christopher Bell ended up finishing ninth. Kind of outside of his element, especially in the rain, but he just needed a good and solid finish, and that's what he got. And then Brad Keselowski finished 10th. Other notables, Tyler Reddick finished 11th, and it was he really struggled all weekend, so it was he kind of needed a good run, and he came back. Elliott Sadler probably should have finished better. He ended up having a spin late in the race and had a pit. He still finished 12th. Austin Cindric came back from a couple spins to finish 13th. Jeremy Clements with a real good run, finishing 14th. He kind of stated on the radio he had a better car than that, but he just had no match for all the cup rides. Kaz Grala finished 15th. Once again, real good run for that kid in that Fury car. Trying to run through here. Alex Labay, he led some laps, pit strategy, and then he ended up getting a cut tire from some contact. He had to pit out of the lead, but nice to see a Mario Gosselin car compete in the top 5 for a little bit. And then Ross Chastain finished 20th. Going back through the order, Carl Larson, he had a top 3 car, and he had fuel pickup issues, and I guess they ended up having to park the car. Mike Skeen came back from, everyone don't remember, he was the guy that got into it with Max Pappas. The first Canadian race, I believe, Chase Elliott ended up winning, and then him and Skeen and Pappas ended up crashing into the tire barrier was right behind him. And then Skeen's girlfriend / wife, I can't think of it off the top of the head. She went over and slapped Max in the face, and he just kind of had this look on his face. Max was like, "Did you really just do that?" Probably one of the all-time greatest moments in the Truck Series. Look it up on YouTube. It is just a fantastic moment. But Skeen came back for a one-race deal with Johnny Davis in the 15 car. He wasn't really much of a... Yeah, he was fastest in practice, but nobody went out in practice because of the rain. But anyways, other ringers, Scott Heckard ended up finishing laps down in 30th. Victor Gonzalez returned to the series. He used to run these races for TriStar for a couple years, running for Nice Motorsports, the Truck Series team. So it's kind of cool to see another new team enter the Xfinity Series. He finished 31st. He had some mechanical issues late in the race. Who else we got? Kind of weak on ringers this year. And then Stephen Light was entered for Mike Harmon racing, and they probably could have made it on time. He couldn't go out and make a second run. They blew a gear in qualifying and just barely missed it. So it was kind of disappointing to see the Harmon team miss the show once again. And then David Levine was supposed to be in the 55 car for JP, but they had some issues in tech and were told to load up. So yeah, that team did not need to miss this race. I believe they were going to lose because of the withdrawal. They're going to lose the attempts, and which puts the 93 and the 74 car ahead of them in rain situations. So kind of a scary situation right now for JP Motorsports, especially with Josh Bilicki in his element, having all these. He blew a oil cooler in qualifying and then had issues late in the race again. So yeah, I don't. Very big question marks right now circling for JP Motorsports. I really don't know how they're going to be able to maintain to the end of the year. And if Josh Bilicki does not run good at Road America, with that being his home track and being so important to him, that race being so important to him and his sponsor Prevagen, who's local to the track, and his dad, I don't know if I don't see the motivation to stay after that. And anyways, what else races? Kind of a slow week for racing. The East Series raced on Friday. They practiced in the rain. Didn't qualify. They had 24 cars, which is all right for right now. Kind of a better field they've had in the East only. Probably the best field they've had in the East Series all year for just yeah, I don't got that data in front of me, but yeah, a lot of it ringers. But anyways, Brett Moffitt came back from a wreck to, I think, make a last lap pass or something like that. Let me look at last lap pass on Will Rogers, who dominated. Brett running the Hattori entry. So, and then the old style butt car won over Will Rogers in the Jefferson Pitts car. Scott Heckert running for Marsh Racing finished third, so good run for him. Spencer Davis finished fourth. Sam Mayer running for running for Doug Fuller. Finished fifth. I believe that's a new entry right there. And then Bubba Wallace running for Jefferson Pitts. Beautiful looking Sunoco colors. Look like the old Bruco entry that had the Federated Auto Parts on it. But he finished sixth. Tyler Ankrum, points leader, finished seventh. Started on pole due to the rain. Ruben Garcia Jr. finished eighth. Harrison Burton ninth. Ronnie Bassett Jr. 10th. And then looking at let's go through a list on our ringers. Ernie Francis Jr. for, I think it's only his second race of the year. Only second race of the year. I believe he's a NASCAR Next driver, but he has only run the road course races right now in K&N. It's kind of a bit disappointing, but running for Rev Racing, finished 11th. I thought he would have had a better run for that, but I don't really know. Anyways, Austin Hill came back to the series running for Visconti. finished 12th. Dale Quarterly, an old veteran of the series, came back, finished 13th. Guy named Robert Perlowski, local guy in his own car, finished 17th. And then Eric Jones, running for DGR Crosley, finished 19th, one lap down. Nora Grayson, also running for DGR Crosley, 4 cars out of that operation this weekend. Finished 20th, one lap down. And then Juan Manuel Gonzalez running for Next Gen in the 25 car, ended up finishing 23rd, a couple laps down. And then Tristan Van Weergen, Dominic Van Weergen's little brother, I believe it is. He's running a part-time schedule for the Rhett Jones entry. He ended up finishing last due to a crash. So anyways, that was K&N Series. See what else we had this weekend. V8 Supercars ran at Sydney, running their first night race in like over 20 years. Running, they call it the Super Night. Yeah. Oh, I thought they ran 2 races, but apparently they only ran 1. Here this weekend. Oh yeah, they only ran 1 because it was a night race. So okay. Excuse me while I sit here confused looking at it. But Shane Ving, I guess a little bit of the highlights I've seen. It was a fantastic race between Shane Van Gisbergen, Jamie Wincup, and Max McLaughlin. There's a lot of beating and banging. They finished in that order. Shane finished first, Wincup second, and McLaughlin finished third. Right now, the championship, Scott McLaughlin still has a 89-point lead over Shane Van Gisbergen. I really want to see McLaughlin pull it off this year. I think he ran in some bad luck late in the season last year, and he had the championship slip between his fingers. So I won't mind seeing him come back and win. And well, before I get too crazy right now, let's take a look at the point series. The K&N East, Tyler Ankrum still with a 45-point lead over Tyler Dipple. Ankrum's pretty much not going to have to show up these last few K&N races for him to lose this championship. It's his championship. And then Tyler Dipple, just as many points ahead of third place and sitting in second. Ronnie Bassett finishing currently in third in points. And then you got Ruben Garcia Jr., the first Rev entry. Fourth in points, rookie Anthony Alfredo. Fifth in points. And then it goes on from there. Ryan Vargas, second in rookie points for Rev. Chase Cabray is in 7th. Dylan Bassett's in 8th. Spencer Davis is in 9th. And then Colin Garrett in the Sam Hunt entry is in 10th. And then let's go look at the K&N, or not K&N, I just did that. The Xfinity Series points right now. I'm going to do this as the traditional points. I'm not going to do any of that pre-chase field bullcrap that NASCAR likes to sell you on their homepage. Christopher Bell with a 22-point lead over Cole Custer. That's over half a race ahead in second place. So, but these road courses are not Bell's element. So I believe the rest of the rest of the field's opportunity to try to catch up. But Bell, 3 straight wins right there, and I would pencil him in words for possibly a win at Bristol. He's just that good, and he had a car that could win in the spring, and like Ryan Blaney in the Cup race, he got caught up in a spin, or got caught up in lap cars wrecking, and had a real hard crash. So, anyways, Custer second. Daniel Hemrick is 1 point behind Custer in third. Elliott Sadler is the next one within reach. He's only 26 points out. He's in fourth. Allgaier is sitting in fifth, but I believe that his Dover win, encumbered win. I don't think he got any points for uh, that one because it was encumbered. Let me just look it up real quick. Yeah, he still got points, but it was encumbered. He didn't get as many points as he I think he got a point penalty. He got 10-point penalty, so he should really be sitting. Scroll back down here at 27 points back, but it's not gonna mean anything once the chase hits. He's got the ones to back it up. Brandon Jones is not, and then the rest of the field is kind of out there on their own. Brandon Jones is 6th, Tyler Reddick 7th, but Reddick is in on a win. Ryan Truex, been a real solid season for him. Sitting 8th. Austin Cindric is still in it, currently sitting 9th. Top rookie right now, too, I believe. No. How do I forget Christopher Bell is the top rookie right now? But Austin Cindric is 9th. Matt Tiff, 10th. Ryan Reed, 11th. Ross Chastain is currently holding on to the last spot in the points battle right now. And 12th. But that is short any of Jeremy Clement's miracle wins. John Hunter Nemechek is the next car sitting outside of the points battle. But I believe since he's missed races, if he wins, he's not in on a win. He has to get in on his own merit driving, and I believe he will. I believe he is in. He is the one going to be behind the wheel. I think he's going to be behind the wheel at Mid-Ohio and Road America. We'll just have to wait and see. Michael Annett, been a real struggle this year. He's 14th. Ryan Sieg, 15th. Kraz Grala, still 16th in points, despite running every other race since Daytona. And Jeremy Clements, quietly 17th. But he's 100 points. Yeah, he's 100 points behind Ross. It's going to take a miracle for him to get into this. Alex LeBay quietly sent in 18th. And then Spencer Gallagher sitting in 19th. But they've kind of thrown their hands up in the air. He's just running a part-time schedule, and he's probably going to run a lot more cup races in the BK entry. And Garrett Smithley quietly 20th in points. So Garrett's by far been the number 2 driver at Johnny Davis. Nice to see him do pretty good. And let's look at the Cups points real quick. I'm not going to look at the playoff standings. Kyle Busch still with a 60-point lead over Harvick. He extended his lead. That's a race and a half right there, guys. We can talk about the big 3 all we want, but that's a race and a half right there. Kind of makes me wish we didn't have the chase just to see how this would play out. Martin Truex Jr., 3rd in points, 121 points out. That's 3 races out right there. And then 4th in points, Kurt Busch. Kurt's been really consistent this year. He just hasn't been able to secure that win. Boyer's next with at 5th in points. Logano is quietly in. Actually, Boyer leapfrogged Logano because Logano finished last in this race. Brad Keselowski still quietly in 7th, but really lacking wins in that Penske operation right now, unfortunately. Kyle Larson still 8th in points, despite, and this just shows how the rest of the field right now is really feast or famine this year. Kyle Larson's arguably been a lot worse this year than he was last year, and I think a lot of it has to do with the new Camaro. But he's still 8th in points. Danny Hamlin's sitting all the way back in 9th. Ryan Blaney's in 10th. Chase moves up to an 11th in points. First Hendrick car. That's really hard to believe. But they've especially struggled with the new Camaro. Eric Almirola is still 12th in points. Eric Jones, 13th. Jimmy Johnson, right back in 14th.
kind of sitting there on eggshells right now.
And then Alex Bowman 15th, Ricky Stenhouse 16th, but he is out of the points of the chase battle right now, mostly because Austin Dillon won that race, won the Daytona 500, and Dillon isn't even in top 20 in points right now. That's how crazy that is right there. And then Paul Menard 17th, Suarez 18th, Ryan Newman 19th, and William Byron is your top rookie right now, sitting at 20th. Byron's he's really starting to come into his own. I believe he's going to continue to pull away from Bubba Wallace. But anyways, that's our points rundown this week. We had no. What else we raced this weekend? The only thing modifieds ran at Stafford. Fantastic half mile up in Connecticut. Doug Kobe won over Woody Pitcat and Eric Goodall. I believe they'll have they'll have this race on tape delay with NBC. They've been showing a lot of ever since NBC took over. They've been showing a lot of modified races. So currently Justin Bosignor sits 51 points over Chase Dallin. Tommy Solomito finished is currently third. Craig Lutz fourth, and then Rowan Pennick fifth. And then we had the cars with their throwback race at Hickory last night. Brandon Setzer won the super late race, and then let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Cars Tour. But Brandon Setzer won the few entries that wasn't a throwback. But that's a very old school operation.
Brandon and his dad, Dennis, they live right by the track.
Hickory is their home through and through. So it was nice to see Brandon get the win. Chandler Smith, who's been really impressive in the ARCA series this year, finished second in the Supers. Cody Connor finished third. Preston Pelletier, who's our northern driver, I believe, finished fourth. Jared Fryer fifth. Matt Craig, and the rest top 10, Matt Craig, Nolan Pope, Corey Heim, Tate Fogelman, Tyler Church. And then looking over at the late models, Josh Berry won. I think he ran a junior throwback. Lee Pulliam finished second. Timothy Peters, the Truck Series veteran, he's been running a lot more late models races now that he's running part-time. He's only a part-time entry in trucks. Finished third. Bobby McCarty fourth. Lane Riggs, Scott Riggs' son, finished fifth. He had probably one of my favorite throwbacks of the weekend, running a throwback to his dad's Nesquik car. And then rest of the entry, rest of the top 10, Deke McCaskill running the Mark Martin throwback. Sam Mayer running a Davey Ellison throwback. Charlie Watson, Cody Haskins, and Bradley McCaskill. And that's pretty much the racing I got for this week. I think IMSA ran, but I don't got anything up pulled up right now in racing reference for them. They're probably still racing right now. But anyways, that's all I really got. Just a fantastic road racing weekend. That's all I really could say. Let's go through preview this week, upcoming week. Cup and trucks are in Michigan. Trucks will have plenty of drafting, and they always seem to draft and race good there at Michigan. And then Cup. Cup's always kind of been meh there, but we had a rain race in June, and then it was a little more exciting, and then we had someone outside the Big Three winning. Xfinity Series in Mid-Ohio for the Rock and Roll Tequila 170. That was kind of neat. They finally got another race sponsor to replace Nationwide for that race. Pinty Series is running Three Rivers this week. You want to see stock cars on a street course, this is your opportunity. The second opportunity in less than a month. They ran Toronto as an undercard for IndyCar earlier, and then they are the top guys running Three Rivers over in Quebec. So that's always a fantastic show. West Series is running at Evergreen, fantastic 5/8 mile up there in Monroe, Washington. Canaan East is off for a couple weeks before they come back for the combination event with the West Series at Gateway. Actually, Modified's actually running a midweek race on Wednesday at Thompson. So Thompson, like Stafford, it is perfectly the Modified Series. So best way to describe. Fantastic 5/8 mile. Kind of wish trucks ran there. That's just me. And Arca's off for another week. IndyCar's off for another week. F1's off, I believe. Yeah. V8s are off for a couple weeks. They're coming back. They come back at a new track, which is quite rare in the V8 Supercar Series. Running probably what I think is probably one of the worst named tracks. The Bend Motorsports Park. At a town called Tylen Bend. But every time I hear The Bend, I just think of the Bends. And it's never a good time when you get the Bends. ACT's off for a couple weeks before they go to Oxford. Cars is off for a month when they come back to run Orange County. Or that's Super is the late model stocks run at the end of the month at Wake County. And then IMSA is running right now at Road America. That's probably why the results haven't popped up yet. So anyways, that's all I really got. I know I've been making promises. I'll try to get the June vlog out this week, and maybe even the July vlog. The June vlog is definitely a packed one. But my work schedule should be a lot easier this week. I'll slowly, quietly work on the next Wookie drives. And best case scenario, you'll have 2 vlogs out this week. Because I don't know why I'm even doing this crap with the work schedule I got. But I do it because I love it. And then not next week, but in 2 weeks, I'll be up in Maine, so I got some filming tentatively scheduled. I'm doing one car for sure. This is the rental car I'm getting, and I'm really trying to get a car that I've been really wanting to drive just because it's so crap. And then there's a couple others I'm trying to get lined up. Just trying to get a wide variety of cars lined up for the Wookie drives. Because I love making those videos. I just love doing the research on cars. I'm a car guy. I'm a book nerd, so I love researching these cars and putting out that content. But anyways, podcast will be up. Hopefully 2 vlogs up this week. And then next week I'll talk about Mid-Ohio. That's all I really got. Sure to check it out on iTunes, Shout Engine, YouTube. I'm fizzled out. Time to get me some sleep. Have a good one this week.
Beep, 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 beep. Special alert. Brian France was arrested and will step down. Jim France will take his position. Oh my God.